technical difficulty with our Rumble stream, but I believe we're up and running now. What's up? This is Mark Kaye. Saves the Republic. You know, I have a motto. Around here. Better late than never. Which is better never than late. I think that's how something. Anyway, what's up? Hopefully everyone's having a fantastic day. Let me pull the music down a little bit because I don't want to yell over myself. But man, I'll tell you what, very interesting. Very interesting. What am I hearing? Hold on, I'm hearing myself. There we go. Perfect. You know, we'll get it all together. That's why I was so quiet. I was trying to figure out why is it so quiet. It's because I'm listening to myself, Anyway, we'll figure it all out. We'll figure it all out here before too long. Listen, today is a very exciting day. There's a lot going on today. First of all, later today at 9:00 p.m., Donald Trump and Elon Musk sit down together for an interview with Sean Hannity. It's one of their first, I think it's the first interview. I mean, other than the impromptu White House Oval Office meeting where they sat down and, that Donald Trump was signing some executive orders. And then he said, Elon, why don't you speak about this? And then Elon Musk went on a tirade for like hours. Remember that one? That was fun. But this is the first one, I believe, where they've actually been scheduled to sit down together, talk about what they're doing for the government, talk about what they're doing for the American people, talk about their relationship, their working relationship and their personal relationship. And I, for one, am looking forward to it. It's rare that I ever look forward to Sean Hannity, but I am definitely looking forward to it today because you know what? It just shows again one more time how the media has failed in their efforts to thwart Donald Trump and his desire to fulfill his obligation to the American people. And that's what this is. Donald Trump is obligated. He's obligated to the American people who voted for him. The 76 million Americans who voted for him, the 63% of Americans who believe that he has been given a mandate to do all these amazing things that he's doing. The electoral victory, the popular vote victory, all of these folks who were like, you know what? We want the border closed. We want the war in Ukraine over. We want the money to stop flowing to these places. We want the corruption to stop. We want the government to be made smaller again. We want egg prices to go down. We want to drill, baby, drill. And we want all these illegal immigrants to go back from where they came. That's basically what Donald Trump ran on. That's what the American people voted for. And now they're doing it. And the media has tried to stop it. They tried to stop it by, first of all, calling Donald Trump a crook and a criminal. And they tried to throw him in jail. None of that worked. Then Elon Musk came along. So now they're trying to drive a wedge between the two of them and say they call Elon Musk the president, President Musk. They think that's the cutest thing ever. They think they're so funny. And they think it's going to anger Donald Trump and get Elon Musk evicted from the White House. That's going to shut down Doge. It's not. It's just going to make them fight even harder because they know that they can trust each other and they cannot trust the media. And we'll get to all that here in just a minute. Also, there's a scandal brewing involving Barron Trump at NYU. You may see if you're watching the live stream today, you'll notice that I'm donning my NYU official Violets hat. The NYU mascot, by the way, a lot of people are surprised to learn is the Violets. I know what you're thinking. What a gay mascot. I mean, look, I'm not proud of it. It's interesting because it's one of those things where the mascot officially is the Violets, the NYU Violets, and we would cheer on them. But then you can't really have a flower walking around campus because you just look dorky. So then they had a bobcat. So there's a bobcat that if you go to a game, which I don't even know why you would ever go to an NYU game. I don't even know if they have games. I think NYU, New York University, is a Division 3 or 4 school in most sports, except fencing, where they're Division 1. But NYU, it's the Violets, and then there's a bobcat running around. It's very confusing. I never really ask questions, but you know what? I never really even told people I went to NYU until Barron Trump went there. He made it cool again. He decided he was going to go to NYU, and now there's a little bit of a scandal brewing with Barron Trump and the New York University Republican Club. And we'll get to that here in just a minute, too. There's more. There's a lot. Literally everything's about Doge these days. The Department of Government Efficiency was probably one of the best things that Donald Trump ever did. By putting Elon Musk in charge of it and saying, have at it, go into the IRS and cut whatever you want, go into the Treasury and make sure that money isn't being stolen. Fire everybody that you think is just wasting time and effort. If you think that something is redundant or unnecessary, just let me know and I'll sign an executive order and we'll get rid of it. Just save us $1 trillion if you can. That's all I ask. I just want you to save us $1 trillion. If you, Elon Musk, can save the American people $1 trillion, then you will have done your duty to me and to your adopted country. And we'll be, and we'll be very thankful. So that's I think one of the most amazing things Donald Trump ever did was create that department. And with Elon Musk's help, you can tell it's amazing because that's all anyone on the news ever talks about. They are all so angry at Doge, which I like to call the anti-government. It's like you got the government and then you got the anti-government. And Doge is the anti-government, which is why the media hates them so much. There's other news about Ukraine and Vladimir Zelensky. Speaking of people who are getting downsized, speaking of people who are having their budgets cut like you wouldn't believe. Vladimir Zelensky, not at all happy. This guy's not a happy camper. I mean, he's not been a happy camper for a while, ever since his country got invaded by Putin. But now he's really not a happy camper because he can't figure out a way to monetize peace. Can't monetize. It's very difficult to monetize peace. Nobody gives you money when you're being peaceful. They give you money to fight wars. Oh my God, you're getting attacked. Let me give you some money so you can throw it at the people attacking you, and maybe that'll stop it. It didn't work, by the way. So now they're brokering a peace agreement that Vladimir Zelensky is just all kinds of against. And you have to wonder to yourself, if you're against peace, does that mean that you benefit more from war? The answer, by the way, for him and a lot of people here in the United States of America is absolutely. Anyway, hold on. I gotta take this hat off because it's cutting into my forehead, and I need I don't want to bruise my brain. We're just kicking off, and I gotta use my full brain for at least the next hour. Since today is Tuesday, we're gonna start with something we like to call Tuesday Reviews Day. This is something that we kicked off a couple weeks ago, and it's a couple reasons. First of all, if you've never left a review, we would love for you to do so. We would love for you to leave a review. And, let us know what you think about the show. Okay, let me preface that. If you like the show, if you enjoy watching us every day, if you're listening on iTunes, if you're listening on Spotify, whatever, if you download the podcast and you go, man, I really enjoy that Mark Kaye show. That Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, that thing is amazing. I love it. I can't wait for it every single day. If that's you, that's the kind of review we're looking for. If you're like, you know what, I could take this or leave this, maybe don't waste your time. Maybe don't waste your time with the reviews. But I'm going to read through some of the reviews here, and then once a month or so, we're going to stop and we're going to look at the reviews and we're going to say, hey, this one was really good. Let's send somebody a prize pack. Let's send them some t-shirts or hats or whatnot. I don't know what we're going to do. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go right now. We've collected all these reviews. By the way, these are all from iTunes. So if you're looking to leave a review, you got to do it on the iTunes because I don't think Spotify allows you to type reviews. And that's where we pull them all from. So if you go to your Apple Podcasts app, you can leave a review. And we have one from G.H. Morrison, who writes, "Magnificent Mark and his mighty message." I like the alliteration. I'm a big alliteration fan. So that's always that's a plus. "I first discovered Mark's radio show on Facebook during the election in 2016. Clips repeatedly came across my feed until I began a search to find his broadcast. I finally found him on Rumble and have been hooked ever since. I love the show with its humor, comments, challenges, and always felt privileged to speak with him. I'm a Kayetriot evangelist till death do us part." G.H. Morrison, that's fantastic. I appreciate it. That was really good. Plus 5 stars along with that one. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Odie the Kayetriot left a review on Apple Podcasts and wrote, awesome. Mark Kaye is so funny and entertaining. The best show ever. I'll take that too. See, these are the kind of reviews that I think are really, and again, I'm not just stroking my own ego, or I'm not looking for you to stroke my ego for me. This is a way to attract people to the show, to Kayetriotism. If we want to grow our numbers, if we're like, look, I'm sitting in here at Kayetriot HQ in beautiful Mar-a-Lago in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. I'm sitting here, and I'm talking to myself, but I know that there's Kayetriots all over the country, all over the world even, who are embracing this message, watching us on YouTube, watching us on Rumble, watching us on X. I know there are Kayetriots all over who are downloading this podcast each and every day, and they're listening on iTunes, and they're listening on Spotify. They're listening all over the place. I get it. I understand how this works. I get technology. So it's nice to hear these positive messages. And like I said, we want it to be a magnet to draw in other people. Like this one from Fan Usher. "I love listening to Mark Kaye every morning. So much real news. Always a great start to the day." Look at that. That's Robert M. Robert M. Fan Usher. The absolute best, writes Noah and Aaron's Nana. Noah and Aaron's Nana. Oh, I got that. It broke together. I had to bring it up. The absolute best. Mark Kaye for Congress. I'm going to pull a Scott Pressler and move to his district to get him elected. That's a fantastic idea. You got to hurry up though, because I think you have 6 months. So you got a little while. You can move sometime next year. But thank you so much for those. These are all great. So these are all fantastic. I'm loving every minute of these. This is from PMJB 2024. Been listening since Mark had a 2-hour slot before Rush. Love the show. Always informative and entertaining, and great to have a great person from Jacksonville. Well, PMJB 2024, we are very excited too. One more here real quick. The best. I have been listening to Mark for several years. He keeps you informed in a way that is both inspirational and entertaining. I miss him when he's not on, and I always look forward to hearing him. That is all. Look at that. See, I appreciate all of those kind words. That's really nice, and I hope that everyone really just legitimately feels that way and isn't just trying to get a prize pack. But hey, either way, I'll take what I can get. I'll take what I can get. Anyway, listen, we got so much. I'm just going to jump right in here. I'm going to jump right in here today because, like I said, we've got a lot. We've got a lot we got to talk about. First things first, let's get to this. Let's start off, I want to start off with this Barron Trump story because it's really kind of interesting to me. Barron Trump, we'll get to Elon and Donald Trump being BFFs and being interviewed by Hannity here in just a minute. But Barron Trump, I want to start with this one. This story is from the New York Post, and the New York Post writes, NYU's college Republicans president forced to resign for calling Barron Trump an oddity on campus. Now, I know what you're thinking. Barron Trump's like 5'9" or something, or 6'9", right? He's like 6. He's so tall, that kid. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, maybe she's talking about him being so tall. No, that's not it at all. Not it at all. The Republican club president, who goes by the name of Kaye Walker, I guess because that's her name, the president of New York University's college Republicans was forced to resign for calling Barron Trump an oddity on campus, with the group then asking the first son to join it in shaping the future of the party. Kaye Walker, president of NYU's College Republicans of America chapter, submitted her resignation Monday amid fierce backlash, sparked by her comments to Vanity Fair about President Trump's hugely popular 18-year-old son. Walker told the mag that Barron was, quote, sort of like an oddity on campus. He goes to class, he goes home, end quote. So now again, listen, I went to NYU, okay? I get it. He doesn't party, he doesn't go to bars, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And maybe that was an oddity. Back in my time, there were a lot of parties, there were a lot of things, there were a lot of bars. But NYU, for the most part, is a commuter school. There's a lot of folks, sure, that live on campus and that kind of thing, but it is, for the most part, a commuter school. And that means that people come from all over. They come from Brooklyn, they come from Queens, they come from upstate, and they come from, in Barron's case, Trump Tower. They come to school, they study, they go home. A lot of them have second jobs and whatnot to pay for the ridiculously expensive education that NYU offers. So that's basically what's going on. But in her eyes, or in her mind, he was an oddity because he goes to class and then he goes home. And I guess a lot of folks like to party down. Her remarks quickly drew the ire of national CRA leadership, who denounced them as inappropriate and against the values and principles upheld by our organization. CRA President Will Donahue then extended a personal invitation to Barron to join their club. So they kicked this girl out, and then they said, Barron, what? Hey, you're not doing anything, right? You're just going home. You go to class and you go home. Hey, why don't you join us? Instead of just going to class and going home, now you can go to class, come to the Republican club meeting, and then go home. And and in the meantime, maybe we'll make you president. So, but it's an interesting thing that, knowing Donald Trump the way he is, and knowing how he brought up all of his kids, and knowing his past, and it's no shocker that Barron Trump goes to school and goes home. Barron Trump is a well-behaved, well-mannered, well-groomed, well-raised person. He's got two great parents. His father doesn't drink. His father doesn't, Donald Trump, I wouldn't even say he parties. He goes to parties. He hosts a lot of parties. I mean, he owns a club where people go get married all the time. But he's not a partier himself. Donald Trump doesn't drink at all, doesn't do drugs, doesn't smoke, never has. His brother, you may remember, Fred, died. He was an alcoholic, and Donald Trump always talked about how He loved his brother so much, and his brother would tell him, don't ever do what I did. Don't drink, don't smoke, don't be like me. And President Trump said, okay, and he never was. And he even sat down with Theo Vaughn on his podcast and talked all about that. But it was, it's a really interesting upbringing. And that is Donald Trump's, that's his mojo. That's what he tries to inspire in his children. Live a clean living, live clean, work hard, get lots of rest, do whatever you need to do to succeed and to get through in this world. And don't do anything that would be harmful to yourself. That's an oddity. That's an oddity at NYU. Apparently. Again, look, and I'm not saying I was no Barron Trump, I'm sure, when I was at college, but I probably should have been. If I could go back and do it all again, I'd be more. Raise your kids to be Barron Trumps. That's all I'm saying is raise your kids to be Barron Trumps and not Hunter Bidens. I think that's always solid advice. All right, let's talk a little bit about Donald Trump and Elon Musk, because Donald Trump and Elon Musk, from the get-go, from really the moment they got to know each other, have really hit it off. And there's a couple reasons for it. They both have a very strong work ethic. They both are billionaires. They both live a life that nobody, I mean, when you're a billionaire, and again, I don't speak from experience because I ain't, but when you're a billionaire, I imagine life is very different for you. If you own your own plane or your own building or multiple buildings, your life is very different than the lives of those around you. And you can't always relate to the average person. Donald Trump tries to relate to a lot of people. He does a good job, but there's just something different about that lifestyle. So I think when you meet a fellow billionaire or a fellow multimillionaire or somebody who's maybe, can relate to your kind of lifestyle, you really kind of glom onto that person. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump have had a fantastic relationship since the moment they met. Then they started to connect on other things. Donald Trump has always talked about how he loves very smart people. He loves geniuses. He likes to surround himself with geniuses and make sure that he has only the brightest people working for him and working in his administration. That's how Donald Trump has always been able to succeed. He's been able to succeed very fast, very quickly, because he surrounds himself with all of the people that he can find who are smarter and work as hard as he does and have the shared vision and are intelligent. And he basically utilizes their intelligence, utilizes their work ethic, utilizes everything they have going for them to help him build his own empire and build his own administration in this particular case. And it's working swimmingly. And Elon Musk, same thing. Elon Musk is like, look, I really love Donald Trump. The more I get to know him, the more I love him. He's down to earth. He's got great ideas. He's driven. He wants to do 1,000 things. And he's doing it. And those two personalities really mesh. The media hates it, by the way. They can't stand it. They hate Elon Musk. They hate Donald Trump, and they've been trying to drive a wedge between the two since the beginning of their relationship. But it's not happening. And so Sean Hannity has sat down with the two of them. This airs tonight, but he released a clip, and Elon Musk discusses, in a very kind of playful way, Trump derangement syndrome, and how he never really realized just how bad it was until he saw it firsthand.
This whole sort of they call it like Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah. And I didn't, you don't realize how real this is until you can't reason with people. So I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and it was like a nice, quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And then I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before, I happened to mention the president's name. And it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies, okay? And they're like, wow! And I'm like, what is wrong? Guys, you can't have a normal conversation. Yeah. And it's like they become completely irrational.
Methamphetamine and rabies. By the way, I love the way Donald Trump just kind of sits there and shakes his head like, oh, here goes Elon again. Methamphetamine and rabies. I'm gonna hear that one. I'm gonna hear about that one later on. Methamphetamine and rabies. In a way, Elon Musk Donald Trump treats him like another child. Like there's Don Jr., there's Eric, there's Tiffany, there's Ivanka, and now there's Elon. And it's a very similar relationship I see between him and Don Jr. He talks about Elon kind of the way he talks about Don Jr. There was a famous interview. It was Donald Trump giving a press conference, and somebody said, one of your sons said something about this thing or the other. I forget what the actual quote was, but it was Don Jr. And Donald Trump looked at the reporter and goes, which son? That's got to be Don. That sounds like something Don would say. And of course it was. And I think that's exactly what happens. I think that's exactly what's going on here with Elon Musk. Elon Musk talks about methamphetamine and rabies being injected into somebody's jugular because you mentioned Donald Trump to them and you mentioned you're friends with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump just has that same look like, oh, here we go. Here goes Elon again. That's Don and Elon. They're both his kids. And he loves them both and he learns from them both. And they're both very, very helpful in his administration. But the interesting thing about this is that as Elon Musk has more and more, I guess you would say carte blanche, or has more and more power over the government, as Elon Musk continues to push his influence in all of these agencies where Donald Trump said, hey, go in there and push your influence. The media is getting more and more cynical and angry and wary of their relationship. And so all they do is talk about Doge. They talk about Doge at the IRS, Doge at Social Security. They're fear mongering. And it's not just Donald Trump and Elon who have to, fight back, but everybody in the administration, really everybody in the party, or at least the good people in the party. Caroline Levitt was on the news and she was talking about how the left continues to fearmonger about Doge and people's Social Security and spread lies and propaganda.
I've been fighting fake news reporters all day long here in the Washington, D.C. swamp who are trying to fearmonger the American people into believing that this administration is going after their hard-earned tax dollars and their hard-earned Social Security checks. So I want to set the record straight on your show tonight, Sean, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do so. President Trump has directed Elon Musk and the Doge team to identify fraud at the Social Security Administration. They haven't dug into the books yet, but they suspect that there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving fraudulent Social Security payments. And so their goal in going into the Social Security Administration is to identify three things. Number one, to identify duplicate payments and to end them. Number two, to identify payments that are going to deceased people who are no longer living and should no longer be receiving that money. And number three, to protect the integrity of this system for hardworking Americans who have been paying into it their entire lives. So rest assured to all of the people watching your show tonight, if you paid into the system honestly, you will continue to receive your Social Security checks. Do not buy into the lies from the legacy fake news media who are trying to fear you and scare you into believing otherwise. This is what we've seen them do about President Trump for years with every promise that he has made. And he's going in there to protect your hard-earned money. That is the ultimate goal.
Okay, so she's saying, look, there are tens of millions of deceased people who are receiving Social Security checks. And the checks aren't getting returned. The checks are getting cashed. So somebody's cashing those checks. Somebody is getting that money. That Social Security money is going somewhere. It's not going to the dead people. They don't need it anymore. In fact, there was a list that was published on X, and it shows the age ranges. Let me make sure I get this right. This was Elon Musk. Bruh, if I wanted to rummage through random personal stuff, I could have done that at PayPal. Hello, having tens of millions of people marked in Social Security as alive when they are definitely dead is a huge problem. And here is the count. 0 to 9. There's 38 million people in this country. All right, we get all that. 10 to 19, 44 million. We can go down the list. And you get to what's retirement age? 65, 75? Okay, so 60 to 69, there's 46 million people in the country. 70 to 79, 33 million. It starts to taper off, as you imagine it would. 80 to 89, there's 15 million. 90 to 99, there's 6 million people in the United States. Okay? 90 to 99. Now, we can keep going. 100 to 109, which seems like there'd be fewer of those people. According to Social Security, there's 4.7 million. 110 to 119 years of age, you'd think maybe one? No. 3,627,007. That's how many there are. 120 years of age to 129 years of age, which I think would be a record. 3,472,849. We have 3,472,000 people on Social Security in the United States of America who are between the ages of 120 and 129. It goes on and on and on. The most amazing is that there's somebody on the record who is 360 to 369 years old. Like 5 times, or 4 times rather, the average life expectancy of a human being. There's one of them. There's one person on the Social Security roster collecting Social Security checks, 360 to 369 years old. That's older than the country. Just to put that in perspective, that's older than the United States of America. Somebody who is older than the United States of America is collecting Social Security, which has really only been around since the early 1900s. So this is what Elon Musk is doing. And there are people out there who are furious. They don't like him rummaging around in Social Security. It's probably the relatives of the people who are collecting those checks and getting them cashed. I would imagine those are the people who are the most angry and upset about Elon Musk rummaging through and looking at their checks and looking at their information and looking at this and looking at that. The IRS, the same thing. Stephen Miller was talking about to Fox News about the IRS. People are upset that Doge is going into the IRS. They think that, what, Elon Musk is going to look at your tax records? Why? So he can laugh at how little money you make?
Can you give assurances to people who faithfully pay their taxes in this country? The Doge isn't just going to go randomly sifting through the records and maybe come across the personal private records of a lot of Americans.
I can give absolute 100% insurance. I give you complete and total assurance on that point. We are talking about performing a basic anti-fraud review to ensure that people are not engaging in large-scale theft of federal taxpayer benefits. I mean, for example, we pay billions of dollars a year in child tax credit payments to illegal aliens. Billions with a B. So these are systematic, programmatic reforms that we're talking about here. And as far as protecting the secrecy of tax records, the IRS has been weaponized at the career level against the American people for years now. This has been one of the most invasive arms of the federal government, engaging in capricious and politically based audits, leaking taxpayer information for political reasons. We are restoring the neutrality. We are restoring ethics. We are restoring security controls at IRS. In fact, one of the big projects that Doge is going to be working on is upgrading IT systems and software so that our taxpayer information cannot be stolen by criminals or foreign governments.
I mean, that to me is another thing that screams corruption. If you are against these systems being upgraded, if you're against the Doge going in and saying, hey, you know what, we probably shouldn't be using manila envelopes and transfer cases anymore. We should probably figure out a way to optimize and to upgrade and to streamline our system so that people can't take advantage of it anymore. You know how easy it is to take advantage of a system that runs on paper contracts? That whole retirement boondoggle they've got going on in the limestone mine, where you can't retire if the elevator's broken because there's no one to take your retirement forms down into the basement and put them in the correct manila envelope? That is ridiculous. You need AI going through these systems because it's very difficult to cheat AI. It's very difficult to cheat technology. It's very difficult to cheat a computer that can find any kind of miscalculation or any kind of anomaly like that and fix it and report it. That's where you're really going to save time and effort and money, is getting software in there that is secure and is effective at finding these kinds of white collar crimes. But the people that are committing them, they don't want them found. They don't want the person who's cashing the check for the 320-year-old American person on Social Security doesn't want that check to stop coming. They want that check to come every single month like clockwork. They want it right there in the bank where they can access it. Well, that's going to stop. And Stephen Miller saying this is the opposite of what people are saying. This is not a boondoggle on Elon Musk's part. This is not Elon Musk trying to get into your private stuff. He's trying to keep other people out of your private stuff and also stop the weaponization. Speaking of which, look at what Pete Hegseth posted yesterday. Pete Hegseth, who is the Secretary of Defense, he wrote, "Of course, the outgoing Biden IRS rushed an audit of the incoming SecDef. Total sham. The party of norms and decency strikes again. We will never back down." So Pete Hegseth became the Secretary of Defense, and right on the way out the door, the IRS audited him. Now, you think that's a coincidence? Do you think that's a coincidence that a Fox News reporter turned Donald Trump administrator, secretary, cabinet member, was audited by Joe Biden on his way out the door to the tune of $33,558.16? Come on. That's no coincidence. That is warfare. That is IRS weaponization at its finest. And he posted this on X. He took a picture, he said, put it on X. He said, look, this is 100% the weaponization of the IRS. And that's one of the things that Doge is working to stop. Doge is working to cease. Doge is going to get rid of, just like the FBI, just like every other organization, the DOJ, everyone else who has been weaponized or attacked by these government agencies will no longer have to worry about any of that. Thanks to Donald Trump, thanks to Elon Musk, best friends forever, and also best friends of the United States of America and the United States taxpayer. Somebody else who said, CNN was going after Elon Musk as well. They got Tim Burchett, our good buddy from Tennessee, on the phone or on the news. And Tim Burchett, man, he let him have it. He was like, look, you people are just beside yourself. You're just horrible people. You have to realize that what you're saying is false.
About all this.
Right. But I think that there's a lot of Americans who are supportive of this effort to clear out government waste, including members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. But there's also concern by how much access Musk and Doge staffers have to their private sensitive data. You're also on the House Oversight Committee. And given what we just talked about, Musk's investments with China and billions of dollars before the government, and now, potentially having access to all this private sensitive data and not having full transparency on what is happening with that.
Yes, ma'am.
What information do you actually have on what Doge is doing with that data? What are your questions? What do you want to know? Certainly, as a member of the oversight, you have some questions.
Well, first of all, Elon Musk, when he owned PayPal, they never had a breach of security. IRS is a nightmare, ma'am. You have folks that still haven't gone back to work 3 or 4 years after COVID. As a United States congressman, I can write a letter of concern over a constituent of mine having a problem with the IRS, and it takes up to 6 months for me to get a response.
Look, I'm not saying there's no problems with government agencies or the IRS.
Hold on. You asked me a question.
But
they always do this, by the way. They always ask a question, and then when in the middle of answering it, they're like, no, you got to answer the question. He's answering your question, lady. You just don't like it, or you're not getting the answer that you wanted.
Answering it.
And the IRS has hundreds of different groups that have access to this stuff. And yet, no one's complained about that. You don't hear
there's checks and balances in place for the specific system. That's not true. Even the IRS, even politicals and the former IRS commissioner who was just on the show yesterday said even he didn't go to it, and it's highly unusual for politicals to have access to that system. Do you not have questions about what they're doing with the data, why they want access to private tax information from Americans? Do you not have those questions as a member of the Oversight Committee?
I have questions. The only reason you'd have questions is if you're doing something crooked. And you're going to see a lot of congressmen with red faces when they follow this paper trail back to members of Congress, ma'am. And that's the bottom line. Where were they fussing the last 3 or 4 years? I mean, we've had these groups different groups have access. Hundreds of different people have access to this that are nowhere in the scope of what needs to be. And yet no one raised one peep about it. Now Elon Musk gets a hold of it, and he's going to do something. He's going to make some changes that need to be made. And you all are pitching a fit. It's the same old line, and you attack the message carrier,
be clear, you all were not pitching a fit. A lot, as I said, a lot of people.
You are actually pitching a fit. He's 100% right. If anyone should be angry or concerned, you should be angry and concerned that Joe Biden and his criminal element, administration had access to your personal tax information and your personal, savings and finances. Look what they did to Pete Hegseth. I mean, this is exactly the point. People are worried about Elon Musk at the IRS. I'm worried about the IRS at the IRS. They should be more concerned that Joe Biden and his administration were auditing the incoming Secretary of Defense. Not coincidentally. There's no way that's a coincidence. That's exactly where you need to focus your anger and your ire, not on Elon Musk. Elon Musk isn't going to weaponize anything that he finds. He's going to make it better. The people who weaponized it are the people who are gone. What he's going to do is make sure that nobody else in the future can do what Joe Biden did and Barack Obama did. Do you know how many times when Joe Biden got to office, the first thing he did was figure out ways that he could manipulate all these government agencies against his political adversary, Donald Trump? He was trying to figure out how to use the FBI, how to search Mar-a-Lago. He got Merrick Garland in there. They had special prosecutors. They had court cases in Georgia and Miami and New York and Washington, D.C. and federal court. They were all over the place. They were trying to figure out, there's got to be something we can do. We control the entire government. Why can't we stop this guy? Well, they couldn't. Now Donald Trump's in office, and Donald Trump's going to make sure that nobody can ever Joe Biden you again. And CNN should be, this Pete Hegseth thing should be a massive story. It's not, because they're worried about Doge. John Kennedy from Louisiana, he had a similar message to the Democrats, a little more blunt, if you will.
I've got a lot of friends who are Democrats, and they haven't asked me for advice, but if I did, I'd tell them, look, you just got to try harder not to suck. I mean, think about it. Over the past 4 years, the Democrats mismanaged Congress, they mismanaged COVID, they mismanaged the economy, they mismanaged inflation, they mismanaged the national debt, they mismanaged Afghanistan. More recently, in their opposition to President Trump and Mr. Musk, the Democrats have chosen to support the bureaucrats and the spending porn over the American taxpayer. Just like they support illegal immigration over the rule of law, just like they support transgender athletes over women's sports, just like they support Hamas terrorists over Israel. All Democrats are not like this, but the party is controlled right now by people who majored in online activism with a minor in puberty blockers. I know these people. They think women, they think men can breastfeed. They're triggered by race. They cry if you use the wrong pronoun. And most fair-minded Americans look at this and they go, these people are about 10 exits past normal. And that's what's killing the Democrats right now, in my opinion.
In everyone's opinion, 10 exits past normal is a great way to describe what's going on with the Democrat Party. It has been that way for a while. And they keep barreling down the highway. They're not even turning around. They're not even pulling off to get gas and say, all right, well, maybe we're going the wrong way. They're not reconfiguring their GPS. They're still going down the same path. They're calling Donald Trump a criminal. They're calling Donald Trump deranged. They're saying Elon Musk is destroying it. They're selling their Teslas. Sheryl Crow sold her Tesla. She sold her Tesla because I guess she thought that was going to hurt Elon Musk. She already bought it. Selling a car that you already bought doesn't hurt anybody. It's a weird thing. It's a weird idea. I'd play it for you, but there's music in the background that would get a copyright strike. But Sheryl Crow is mad at Elon Musk. She owned a Tesla that she bought and paid for. And when she bought and paid for that Tesla, guess what? Elon Musk got the money. And now she's selling it in protest and donating the money that she got to NPR. Okay, well, Elon Musk is about 48 hours away from shutting down NPR, I'm sure. Hopefully she got a nice tote bag. Also, once you buy the car, it doesn't matter what you do. You could drive it off of a cliff. It's not going to harm Elon Musk. You could drop it out of a helicopter into the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or wherever you happen to live. It's not going to affect Elon Musk one little bit. There will be no adverse effects to Elon Musk by you selling your used Tesla to somebody else. It's really a bizarre way that these people react, but that's the way that they would react. Kevin O'Leary was on CNN, and he said, look, you guys got to realize you're complaining about Elon Musk cutting this and Elon Musk slashing that. You're worried about Donald Trump shutting down the USAID. You're worried about him coming after the Department of Education. He goes, you know what they should be doing? They should be cutting even more. I'd cut 20% more if I were them.
I think the issue is they're not whacking enough. There's this concept in private equity when you get a bankrupt company and you go in there, you cut 20% more than your initial read. And then you find like a pool of mercury, the organization gels back together again. Always cut deeper, harder when there's fat and waste. The FAA, it's not the people. The code is cobalt. It's from the 60s. It needs CapEx put into it for the technology to be upgraded to make it safer. Fat like a chicken. All of these agencies are like big fat chickens dripping over barbecues of fat. This is the best barbecue I've ever seen, but I don't think it's happening fast enough. They're not cutting enough. Keep slashing, keep hacking while you have a 24-month mandate before the midterms. Cut. More cutting. Believe me, it's going to work out just great. Everybody should be happy about this.
Even people with the nuclear codes, cut them too?
Cut everything. Because if you don't see what they're doing and they can't show you that they're adding value, you whack.
But and that's exactly what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. Now, they're getting slowed down a little bit by the Democrats here and there, but he's right about a couple of things. First of all, here's the thing. You can always hire people back. I worked for a company once. I'll never forget this. This was hilarious. They had HR people at every office around the country. Then they realized, you know what? We don't need all these HR people at all these offices around the country. So they cut all the HR people, and they had one centrally located office. And if you needed HR, you called the number. After like a year of that, they realized this isn't working at all. So they hired the HR people back. Now, was that the best system? Probably not. But they saved at least a year's worth of money, and they figured out a way to, I guess you could say streamline for a bit. And then they realized we made a mistake. We're going to hire people back. You can always find people to come back to work for the government. Cut them all out. He's right. Cut even more and then see where you are. And if you need more help, hire people. People will come and work for you if they know. People will come and work after the cut. That's the other thing, too. If you cut all these jobs and then you say, hey, you know what? We're actually going to hire some people back. People know those jobs are necessary. Those jobs are essential. And those jobs are not going to get cut in the future. Those are long-term government jobs. Those are the kinds of jobs that people want, and those are the kind of jobs you want in the government. Otherwise, you want to get rid of all of them. The second thing he said was, there's only 24 months. And I hear people say this all the time. I was at the Republican Executive Committee meeting yesterday here in Duval County. And one of the speakers said, we got to work hard because Donald Trump only has 4 years. He's got 2. He's got 2 years because come midterm time, everything's going to be forgotten. In 2026, the midterm elections are going to happen. And the first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be tumult in the House of Representatives. We may gain seats. We may lose seats. It may actually change hands. There may be fewer Republicans. Donald Trump may lose control of it, and the Democrats may take control if we don't play our cards right. The Supreme Court debate or the Supreme Court battle going on in Wisconsin right now could redraw all the districts before 2026, which is what they're hoping for. And if all the districts are redrawn before 2026, you're probably going to have more Democrats in the House of Representatives, which is why for the Wisconsin Supreme Court election going on now, you're getting tens of millions of dollars on either side pumped into that election. It is going to be one of the most expensive elections in history because they want a conservative on the court who will not redraw the lines or change the districts in Wisconsin, who will not change the blue-red contingency or the blue-red balance in the districts in Wisconsin, and will not jeopardize whoever controls the House of Representatives. I mean, this is how this stuff happens. One state, Wisconsin, redrawing their districts could create 2 or 3 new blue districts and Democrat congresspeople. And with a slim majority like we have, 2 or 3 Democrat congresspeople could flip-flop the power, and Hakeem Jeffries could become Speaker of the House. That's how these things happen. That's why it's so important that Donald Trump get everything done as quickly as possible. He's got 2 years. And then after that, everyone's running for something. After the 2026 midterms, then the elections for 2028 start. And everybody's going to be running for something. Byron Donalds, we imagine, will be running for the governorship here in Florida because, well, he said he wants to. And Donald Trump yesterday posted on Truth Social how Byron Donalds is way ahead of the pack. Byron Donalds leading the pack for potential governors of Florida when Ron DeSantis has to step away in 2026. So look, you've got all these people out there. Then you've got JD Vance. So they're going to have to start running for president. There's Republicans out there right now. I don't know which ones they are, but probably a lot of them are working with Donald Trump. I would imagine at least 3 cabinet members would be interested in running for president. The vice president, JD Vance, is always the the first to, I guess gets the right of first refusal. Typically, I mean, Donald Trump's not a typical president. It may not be J.D. Vance. It may be Don Jr. Donald Trump may be like, all right, Don Jr.'s ready to take over. It's Don Jr.'s time. J.D. Vance is probably going to run anyway as vice president. Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State. He's run before in the past. He's very well liked as a senator. He's very well liked in Florida. He may run for president. You never know. You don't know which one of these people is going to step up, but I could name at least 5 Republicans right now who probably have an interest in running for president. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Ron DeSantis, although I don't know if he's got a chance anymore. Don Jr. One more. Give me one more. Let's see. It could be Kristi Noem for all we know. For all we know him. It could be anybody. Any Republican right now could step. And that doesn't even, I'm not even talking about the outliers with a snowball's chance in HE double hockey sticks like Nikki Haley or Chris Christie, who are the perennial favorites to just run for president and ruin everybody's day. You're going to have some whack job never Trumpers step into the fray. Of course you are. They always do. But the fact of the matter is the clock is ticking. Donald Trump has 2 years at full strength. After that, he really becomes a lame duck president. I mean, technically he's a lame duck president now, but he's actually been the most effective lame duck president, really the most effective president in history in this first month. He's got 23 more months before the midterm elections, and then we'll see what happens. It's going to be wild. That's why he's got Tom Homan out there rounding up people at a record-breaking pace. That's why there's frustration at these governors and these mayors who are thwarting Donald Trump's attempt at getting these illegal immigrants out of the country.
First of all, I got to salute President Trump. He's been in office less than a month. I said from day one on your show, Sean, he's a game changer. He proves to the American people every day why I consider him the greatest president in my lifetime. No one's had success like this. But I've said it. I'm happy the numbers are up. I'm happy with the results so far. I am not satisfied. I will not be satisfied till every gang member, every illegal alien gang member, every illegal alien public safety threat and national security threat is eradicated from this country. So we're expanding the amount of teams now. We got Pam Bondi suing the sanctuary cities. We got Kristi Noem on now. She's been out with the Border Patrol. She's been out with ICE. She's done more enforcement operations in a week than Mayorkas has done in 4 years. Our team's coming together. You got the architect, Steve Miller. We're all working together to increase those numbers until we can eradicate once and for all every illegal alien gang member and public safety threat and national security threat in this country. It's all on. Our foot's on the gas, and God bless President Trump for giving us the authorities, the resources to do this job. It's his vision that's making this all possible.
Yeah, and there's a lot of short-sighted people out there who are trying to stop it, like AOC, who Tom Homan, I guess he didn't want to call her dumb, but
Well, first of all, I think she's, I won't go after her on
Tom,
national
please
TV
please do. Say what's on your mind. It's a holiday.
Look, she's the dumbest congresswoman ever elected to Congress, and she proves that every day. And look, bottom line is, I can't believe any member of Congress, Republican, Democrat, Independent, would want to educate criminal illegal aliens who are in the country illegally, been convicted of a violent crime, and have been ordered removed by an immigration judge after due process at great taxpayer expense. You got a congressman or congresswoman that does not want ICE to do the job that Congress has mandated them to do and funds them to do.
It's really crazy when you think about it. And anybody who votes for these people, they are out of your mind. But Tom Homan saying, look, she's the dumbest person to ever run or serve in the Congress. She's from New York, by the way. A lot of weird women in New York elected to public office. Kathy Hochul, who I don't know what her deal is. There's something wrong with her too. Kathy Hochul is now going after Eric Adams. Eric Adams, a Democrat. She's going after Eric Adams. She may remove him from office. She's basically mounting a coup against the mayor of New York because he helped ICE. He helped Donald Trump. Mayor Eric Adams, who begged for help, by the way. This guy begged Joe Biden for help. This guy cried on the news to Joe Biden, we need help. We're drowning. He went into a meeting and said to the people in his city, we will never return from this. We will never, ever come back from this. We cannot. The immigration problem in New York City has destroyed this city forever. And Joe Biden ignored him, kept sending illegal immigrants his way. And now Kathy Hochul's trying to remove him from office because he helped Donald Trump. This is from NPR. New York Governor Hochul signals she may move to force New York City Mayor Eric Adams from office. She may use her authority to remove New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Hochul acknowledged in a statement that ousting Adams, a fellow Democrat, would be a serious step, but said alleged conduct at City Hall has been reported over the past 2 weeks, or that has been reported over the past 2 weeks, is troubling and cannot be ignored. Hochul said she plans to meet with key leaders in Manhattan on Tuesday before issuing a decision. This development comes after controversy surrounding Adams deepened on Monday as 4 of his top aides and deputy mayors announced they're resigning. The departures were triggered by the U.S. Justice Department's controversial decision to drop corruption charges against Mayor Adams. So Donald Trump and the DOJ say, you know what, we're going to drop these corruption charges. And then he has a multitude of his staff resign? What? Critics say the DOJ shelved its criminal corruption and bribery case against Adams after he agreed to collaborate with President Trump's immigration crackdown. Adams faced growing calls from a number of New York State's Democratic leaders to resign even before 4 of his most senior aides said they're leaving his administration. In a joint statement, 3 of the officials pointed to the extraordinary events that have rocked Adams' administration in recent weeks. To stay faithful to the oaths we swore to New Yorkers, we have come to the difficult decision to step down from our roles. So what's happening? What's happening? Well, here, I'll read this. In a statement sent to NPR on Monday, Adams said he's disappointed by the latest resignations. But let me be crystal clear, he says. New York City will keep moving forward just as it does every day. Now, what's happening is Mayor Eric Adams is going against the sanctuary state of New York. He's going against the sanctuary state of Manhattan. He's saying we have criminal problems here. We have issues here with illegal immigrants. We can no longer afford, New York City can no longer afford to take these people in. And that is ruining the Democrats' plan to import voters to New York City, to import voters into the country, and to solidify power for the Democrat Party for basically the rest of their lives. Eric Adams has upheld the law, but at the same time broken these ridiculous blue state sanctuary city guidelines. So now Kathy Hochul is saying, look, you're the mayor of a sanctuary city. Your job is to protect everybody, even the illegal criminals. And think about this poor Eric Adams. He's there, lifelong New Yorker. He's standing there going, I'm trying to keep my citizens, my voters, my people from getting killed and robbed. I'm trying to give them a clean place to live. I'm trying to get these people off the streets. They're doing drugs and they're sleeping and they're pooping and they're doing all that. It's horrible. My job, I was hired by New Yorkers to clean up the city. I'm trying to clean up the city. And now I've got the Department of Justice trying to put me in jail. And on top of all that, the governor, a member of my own party, who's supposed to want the same things for New Yorkers, is threatening to oust me. This is a state. I mean, it is crazy how bad New York State has become. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Barron Trump still wants to go to school there, but you know, that's where he wants to go to school. And it is not getting any better. It's getting slightly better. That's not true. It is getting slightly better. In the last couple of election cycles, we have seen a move toward the conservative side. We've seen more and more people voting for Donald Trump, voting for Lee Zeldin, who's now in charge of the EPA. We've seen more and more New Yorkers voting for conservatives in the Congress, but not enough of them. And so many more are moving out of state altogether. They're moving to places like Florida. They're moving to places like Tennessee and Texas. They're like, to hell with this. We're out of here. We're going to go down to the free state of Florida, kick it at the Gulf of America, not pay income taxes, carry guns, and not have to worry about illegal immigrants, destroying our lives. Because we've got people like Ron DeSantis in charge. That's what's happening down here in Florida. New Yorkers are totally sick of it, and they're eating their own. I mean, think about this. Eric Adams finally comes along. He's a common sense Democrat, and they just can't have that. They don't want common sense Democrats anywhere near New York City. So they're going to get rid of the guy. And they're going to keep people like Kathy Hochul and AOC and God knows whoever else that's going to continue to run that city and that state right into the ground. Speaking of running things into the ground, Vladimir Zelensky is very upset that he's not getting any more money. He released this statement. I'll translate it for you so you don't have to worry about it. Here's Zelensky talking about how he feels abandoned by the United States of America. But we do not hear such support from the United States today. You know that there are several other European partners do not support our membership in NATO. I believe that this is a great desire of Russia, and it coincides with this result. So he's basically saying, look, the United States is not supporting us. They're supporting Russia. The United States no longer supports us. They don't want us to be part of NATO. A lot of folks in Europe do, but Russia doesn't. And so Donald Trump has sided with Russia, and he's sided against Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky is now, after taking billions upon hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars from the United States of America, is now saying, oh, we're not supportive. After bilking us for money that was spent on Lamborghinis and Ferraris for his generals, that was spent on lush vacations in Spain, that was spent on clothing for his wife. What was that car she ordered? Remember, she ordered some ridiculously expensive car because there was billions of dollars coming in with no oversight whatsoever. There was nobody there auditing Ukraine. Nobody knew where that money went. Did it go to fighting the war? I don't know. There's a lot of that war is still going on. So if it did, obviously they were fighting it ineffectively. If you gave Israel as much money as we gave Ukraine, there would be peace in the Middle East. There would be no more Hamas. There would be no more Hezbollah. There probably wouldn't be any ISIS anywhere. Iran wouldn't have a nuclear weapon. If we gave Benjamin Netanyahu the same amount of money that we gave to Vladimir Zelensky, there would be a totally different scenario in the Middle East. Because he knows how to effectively fight wars, win wars, and invest money in peace. Donald Trump, same way. Donald Trump could take as much money as we've given to Ukraine, and there would be peace everywhere. If we just put that own money into our own military and called it's really the weirdest thing. When you've got, there was this old story. I forget, it was like a parable about teaching a monkey to swim. I don't know, it was some kind of success book that somebody made me read once, but it was okay. So basically they said, you never teach them what happens with our school system, what happens with, the United States of America, what happens with, our workforce is basically in school, you have children and they maybe excel at something. For example, monkeys are really good at climbing trees. They climb up the tree, they climb down the tree, they swing from the tree, they get the coconuts out of the tree, whatever. Monkeys are great at climbing trees. But if you tell a monkey to go swim, the monkey's going to be horrible at it. And they're going to flail around, and they're going to get tired, and they're going to get frustrated, and they're going to fail, and they might even drown because monkeys don't swim well, but they climb trees really well. If you tell a fish to climb a tree, can't do it. It's got fins, no opposable thumbs, it can't breathe out of the water. The fish will definitely die if it tries to climb a tree. That's what our school system's like. If you have kids in class and they get A's in math and they get A's in science, but they get D's in English and history, what do? We tell them to study more English and history. Got to get those grades up. Why? Why not just give them more math and science to do? Obviously, they're really good at that. And the flip-flop is true. If they're really good at English and they're really good at history, but they suck at math and science, we tell them, you got to take extra math and science. That's like telling a fish, go climb more trees. You almost died climbing that first one, go climb more. Tell the monkey, you almost drowned in the river, go swim across the ocean so you'll get better. Why? Why be better? There was a Chinese ping pong player who had the deadliest forehand ever and no backhand. He won every international ping pong championship with no backhand. Why? Because he realized he had a crappy backhand, so he just spent all day on his forehand. And that was it. He said, forget it. I don't even need a backhand. I'll just make my forehand so good nobody can beat us. If we did the same thing with our military, which we usually do, if we took all the money, if Ukraine goes to war with Russia, or in this case, Russia goes to war with Ukraine, instead of sending money to Ukraine, we should have invested in our own military invested in technology, invested in weapon systems, and then called up Vladimir and said, hey, listen, look what we've been doing, and then done a parade with all the new technology. That would have stopped the war. The war never would have started. But because we saw what was happening, because of the ridiculousness in Afghanistan, because of Joe Biden's weakness, because of Joe Biden, installing DEI and woke ideology and weakening our military, the opposite happened. That's what Donald Trump always says is, if I were president, this would never have happened. But Russia looked at all the weakness in our military and in our leadership, and he saw the ridiculous withdrawal from Afghanistan, and he said, okay, now's a great time to advance on Ukraine. The opposite is true. Always invest in yourself. Always invest in your strengths. If you have a strong military, don't weaken it and think you're going to win a war. Don't weaken it and think that you're going to turn away potential enemies. You're going to embolden them. Our military is great at fighting wars. We need to invest in our military. And if there's a war that needs to be fought or a conflict that needs to be resolved, don't give the money to anyone else. Don't give it to Vladimir Zelensky, because that guy sucks at winning wars. He hasn't won a single one. You don't reward him. You say, look, you're no good at math and science. We're going to get somebody in there who is. And now we have Pete Hegseth. So that's basically what's going on with Ukraine. Now, Donald Trump is on the phone with Vladimir Putin. Marco Rubio's in Saudi Arabia. They're going to make some kind of deal, whether Zelensky's there or not, whether he likes it or not. And at the end of the day, Vladimir Zelensky is going to have to agree to whatever deal there is. Otherwise, he's going to be fighting a war, but he's going to be doing it with no money and no allies. Because Europe, they'll talk a big game and they'll yell and scream and they'll kick around, kick sand. And they'll be like, we're just so mad at the USA. We got to protect NATO. But they're not going to do anything without the United States of America because they can't afford it. They're not going to start giving Vladimir Zelensky money. If they do, they'll not be able to afford anywhere near the amount of money that we've given him. And if he doesn't get the amount of money we've given him, he loses the war. He's basically already lost this war. He just hasn't realized it yet because, well, this is when you're a professional warmonger, you need war, or else there's no more profession. Listen, we've got a lot of stuff that's going to be happening this week. Donald Trump is signing more executive orders today at 4:00. He's at Mar-a-Lago, and he was there yesterday for President's Day. He was playing golf. I imagine he's still probably there, but he's working. I believe at 4:00 there will be probably a live press pool, or shortly afterward there will be a live press pool. They'll show you the video, that kind of thing. And then tonight at 9:00 on Sean Hannity's show, it's that one-on-one with Elon and Donald Trump. I guess 2-on-1 would be, I guess it wouldn't be a 1-on-1 if it's two people. It's a 2-on-1 with Elon Musk and Donald Trump sitting down with Sean Hannity, answering questions for the first time ever. That's going to be amazing. And we're still waiting on Kash Patel, who sometime this week, Kash Patel will be the director of the FBI. We're not really sure when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And when it does, just wait. You think fun stuff has been happening now? You're right. But just wait until Kash Patel becomes head of the FBI. It's really going to be great. I saw this thing today that we talked about how there's been a massive amount of people who are, what is it? Oh yeah, there's been a massive amount of people who've been searching for criminal defense attorneys in Washington, D.C. Look at this. Close to 15,000 houses have gone up for sale in D.C. D.C. housing prices fell by 36%. There's been a spike in searches for RICO laws, criminal defense attorneys, statute of limitations, and offshore bank accounts. There's full-blown panic in D.C. If you've ever wanted to move to the District of Columbia, now's the time, because the housing market is ripe. The housing market is ripe. There is a lot of availability, and there's about to be even more once Kash Patel becomes the head of the FBI sometime later this week. Listen, we're going to jump into the Kayetriot Club for just a minute. If you're not a member, join right now. We're going to do a little after party here in just a few, and we'll continue the conversation. We'll continue the discussion. Otherwise, thank you so much for all of the reviews. Make sure, if you haven't yet done so, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to Rumble, or follow us on X, whatever it is. If you're listening on iTunes, if you're listening on Spotify, wherever you happen to be, we would love for you to follow us, set the notifications, and of course, leave us a review, because we're going to be reading reviews every Tuesday, and we're going to be awarding some people with some cool Mark Kaye Saves the Republic swag as well. So like, share, notify yourself, leave a review, and keep coming back every single day because we're constantly publishing new information and videos. We're constantly trying to get the word out there. We're constantly trying to keep you informed. We want your weaponry to be sharp. We want you to have all the knowledge you need so you know when somebody's taking advantage of you or lying to you or stealing from you. We want you to know who the enemy is and how you can defeat them. Because if you do, then it makes it, so much easier to save the Republic. All right, join the Kayetriot Club. $10 a month. Almighty helps us to continue this fantastic broadcast. And if you'd like, you can subscribe for a year and save, get 2 months free. We're going to go live in the Kayetriot Club with the after party in 3 minutes.